Today, I want to talk about a moment that can feel really intense as a parent. Your kid says something like, sometimes I just wish I could disappear. Mm. And in that moment, something inside of you starts to feel really scared, terrified. And the question becomes, do I take this seriously? Do I need to call the police? What do I even ask right now? And maybe another question underneath that, how do I ask this without making it worse? Welcome. Hello, my friends. I'm so glad you're here. This is Self-Led Parenting Live, a space where we explore what it looks like to stay connected to our children and to ourselves, especially in the moments that feel the most overwhelming as parents. My name is Jacqueline Long. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I've spent over 20 years supporting children, teens, parents, and families. And today we're talking about something really important: how to assess whether your child or teen is at risk of hurting themselves from a centered place, leading with calm confidence and compassionate curiosity in relationship with our fear, instead of leading from our fear, instead of leading from a place of fear. And I want to be clear, it's not about not having fear. Instead of N-O fear, it's really K-N-O-W fear, knowing our fear. It's about being in relationship with the parts of us inside that are understandably worried about our kid. And before we go any further, I want to let you know that if this topic feels activating at any point, please take care of yourself. You have my full permission. You can pause the video, you can step away, you can come back later. And if it feels okay to continue, you can just notice what's happening inside. Or you can notice that you're here and I'm here with you. And as always, if questions come up for you, you can drop them in the chat. I'd be honored to try to respond to your questions in a future episode. And today, in the description after this live episode is over, I'll put a link into the description with a blog that I've written summarizing some of the key points of this episode and the 2 episodes leading up to this one, so you can have something to read as a follow-up to this video as well. Something you can take home with you and look at. So let's start here. When a child or teen says something that scares us, most of us immediately go into one of 2 places: panic and urgency on one hand, or avoidance and minimization on the other. And neither one is wrong. They're both coming from parts of us that care deeply, right? But today I want to offer a third path: responding from self-led presence. Because it's where it comes from inside of you that matters most. I really want to highlight this. Where the words come from matters more than the words themselves. So let's break this down. When your kid says something like, I wish I could just disappear, there's clearly a part of them that's hurting or in pain. That's clear. But it helps to keep in mind that it's just a part of them, not all of them. That part might feel hopeless or overwhelmed, alone. And there are often other parts inside of them watching closely. Other parts of them that might feel afraid of the first part, very vulnerable, exposed, even ashamed, and unsure if it's safe to keep talking with you. So even as they start to open up, another part of them might be asking, is it safe to say more? Will I be good? Will this overwhelm my parent? Are they going to And those protective parts of a kid are very sensitive to an adult's tone, pace, facial expressions, and body language. So that's what's happening inside of them, most likely, some aspect of that experience. So let's look at what might be happening inside of you in that moment. A first responder or kind of angry part, I'm going to introduce my inside out friends for a moment, might kind of blend with us. The first to the scene, they're trying to save everyone, save you when you're feeling on flames inside, and it might say, make this stop. We need to make sure he stops talking about this right now. Or even a little bit more angry might sound like, I can't believe she'd say something like this. With the privileged life she leads, how dare she? So that part of us might come up. It's very common. It's also common to feel really worried and actually hypervigilant. And so a worried or hypervigilant part might come up and say, what if something happens and I didn't act fast enough? I need to ask every single question I can think of as fast as possible. I can't miss anything. I can't get this wrong, right? So we can all relate to the hypervigilant one in these cases. And there's also, often a don't worry, be happy part of us, or maybe you'll recognize this in a partner. It's fine. He's just making a big deal out of nothing. Just give him some space. Let him play on his device. Let's grab a glass of wine, right? So the important thing to remember is that all of these parts make so much sense. They love your child. They're trying to protect your child's life. They're trying to protect you, most likely from emotional overwhelm. Or maybe you're recognizing some of these in your partner, and you can move forward with the understanding that these parts of your partner are trying to protect them from emotional overwhelm, most likely. So it helps to understand that in this moment, both systems, child and parent, are trying their best to protect at the same time your child's system and your system. And this is where things can either become more connected or become more pressurized. Because when our worried part takes over, our voice tightens, our pace speeds up, our questions can start to feel intense to our kid. And even if our words are quote unquote right, our energy can feel overwhelming to our already overwhelmed kid. So again, it's not just what you ask, it's where it comes from inside of you that matters most. Now, with that foundation, let's talk about what to actually say. And let me be clear. It's okay and important to ask directly. Asking your child about suicidal thoughts doesn't put the idea in their head, as some parents think it does. In many cases, asking directly actually helps them feel less alone and thus less likely to hurt themselves. So, from a grounded, steady place, you might first get curious and invite your kid to say a little more in an open-ended kind of way. I encourage you to watch Self-Led Parenting Live episodes 5 and 6. You can look up SLPL 5, SLPL 6 for guidance on how to be with your own internal world in a way that can really help you be with your kid and their parts in that moment. Because it's important to listen and empathize and even give your kid a little breathing space if needed. Why? So they experience you as a safe harbor to come back to again and again on their journey through life, especially when things get hard. And then, after listening, empathizing, and maybe even giving a little space, you might say something like, I'm going to shift into a different mode just for a moment. I'm going to ask a few direct questions because I care. I care about you so much. One of the therapists on our team, Shruti Nair, even says something like this. You might hear my voice change a little. It's because I care. Are you having thoughts about hurting yourself? Have you thought about how you might do that? Do you ever feel like you might act on those thoughts? Asked with calm clarity and confident connection, these questions can help you assess whether this is what we call suicidal ideation, fantasizing about getting away from it all, or active suicidal intent. And there's a big difference. There's a world of difference between these two. If there's no clear plan and no intent to act on a plan, we consider it suicidal ideation. And the most helpful thing you can do as a parent is to stay calm, come close, and offer your connection, your good listening with this suicidal ideation, with these fantasies about hurting oneself. However, if there is a clear plan along with the means and an intent to act on that plan, then we do encourage you to get more help right away. In the US, you can call 988 to be connected to a crisis call center, a mental health crisis center near you, or you can go to your nearest emergency center. But remember, when asking these questions about plan and intent, it's helpful to avoid making it feel like a worried or urgent interrogation. It's about being curious and deepening understanding of your kid. It might sound strange, but this is an opportunity to deepen connection at a time when your kid really needs you to understand, really needs you to be with them emotionally. So you might imagine it sounding like, I care about you so much, and I'd like to understand what's going on for you. You don't have to tell me everything, just whatever feels okay to share. It's paradoxical, but letting them know they don't have to tell you everything all at once can help create the conditions of safety that actually helps them open up more. And I want to reiterate, if your kid has a clear plan and an intent to act on that plan, this is a moment to bring in more support. Again, that might mean contacting a therapist, calling a crisis line, dialing 988 in the US, or going to the ER. It's important to know you don't have to hold that alone, and we always highly recommend that you, as the parent, get support yourself. This is hard. But in many moments when a kid says something like this, the child is sharing distress without a clear plan or intent to end their life. And in those moments, your ability to stay steady and calm and curious matters more than you think. Because your kid needs to know they're not alone emotionally. Inside, their own protective system will likely be wondering, can my parent handle this? Am I too much? Am I going to overwhelm them, right? Will I be judged? Is it safe to keep talking? And when your presence says, I can be with you in this. I can be with you in this. That implicit message will help your kid feel safer, less alone. And that matters. So I'm curious, can you, dear parent, take a moment to notice what happens inside of you when you feel scared for your child? What parts show up? You might just take a moment to notice. Notice where you find those scared parts of you in or around your body. And just be with them for a moment. And if that's possible, to be with these sensations, just see if you might radiate some warmth towards these ones within you, towards these scared ones. Just letting them know that you're curious about them. See if you can welcome them and just be with these scared parts of you. And just notice what that's like in your system. Often these scared parts of us as a parent feel very alone inside, and it helps them to know that we're here with them. And in a future episode, maybe next week or the week after, I can lead you in what we call a parts map in internal family systems, or IFS, so we can get to know these parts of you inside a little better. But before we end today, I want to share a letter written from the perspective of a parent who's learning to work with their own parts inside so they can show up as a steadier, safer presence for their child. And after I read the letter, I'll share some key takeaways, so be sure to stay for that. This letter is called, "I'm Learning to Be a Safer Place for You." Dear my child, I've been thinking a lot about our conversation the other day, about what you shared, and about how I showed up. When you first started talking, there was a part of me that felt really scared. I could feel it in my body. I could feel my mind wanting to move quickly, to figure things out, to ask all the right questions, to make sure you were okay, because I love you. And there are moments when my love comes out a little fast, a little intense. And I'm learning how to notice that. I've been noticing the parts of me that get activated in those moments. The worried parts, the urgent parts, the ones that are so afraid of missing something crucial. And I want you to know I'm working with those parts of me. I'm learning how to slow them down. I'm learning how to listen to them without letting them take over, so that I can show up for you, with you, in a way that feels steadier, calmer, safer. Because I'm starting to understand something really important. It's not just what I say to you, it's where it comes from inside of me that matters most. And I can sense that when I'm more grounded, something shifts between us. And when I asked you those hard questions, it wasn't because I didn't trust you. It's because I care about you deeply. And I want to understand what's happening inside of you, so I can be there with you in it. And I want to make sure you know that you don't need to take care of me in those moments. You don't have to protect me from your feelings. You don't have to hold things back just so that I don't get overwhelmed. I want to be someone who can sit with you in the hard things, even when they're really hard, even when a part of me feels scared. And I'm also working with the parts of me that want to know everything right away, urgently. So you know that it's okay to go at your own pace. So you know that you don't have to say everything right away. You don't have to have the right words. You don't have to finish the conversation before you're ready. If you need to pause, if you need to step back, if you need time, that's okay. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to chase you, but I'm also not going to disappear. I'll keep showing up. I'll keep working on myself so that I can be a safer place for you. Because I want you to know that beyond all doubt, you don't have to do this alone. We can face hard things together. And whenever you're ready, in your own time, in your own way, I'll be right here because I care. I care about you a lot. Love, your parent. So let's just take a moment together and let that land. And here are some key takeaways. 1, it's okay to ask directly. Asking your child about suicidal thoughts often helps them feel less alone. 2, how you ask matters more than what you ask. Where the words come from matters more than the words themselves. Your tone, pace, and presence will help to shape how your child receives your questions. 3, turn towards yourself first before you ask your questions. A quick internal check-in, kind of like an internal selfie, can help you shift from urgency to steadiness, and that will make all the difference. Remember, it's where it comes from inside of you that matters most. 4, both systems are trying to protect. Your child might be feeling vulnerable and ashamed. You might be feeling scared and urgent. So both systems are trying to protect at the same time. 5, you don't have to do this alone. If your child has a plan or intent to harm themselves, or even if it's suicidal ideation, reaching out for help makes sense. It means you care. And if there is an intent and a plan and an intent to act on that plan, it's important to bring more support in right away. And lastly, 6, your steadiness matters more than perfection. You don't have to say everything exactly right. Your ability to stay present, grounded, and connected is what helps your child feel safer to open up. As we close today, I want to remind you, if you notice yourself getting activated, that's not a problem. That's information. You might pause, notice what's happening inside, and turn towards the parts of you that are feeling scared. That's the U-turn. And when you can bring even a little more steadiness to your own inner world, it begins to change the relational field between you and your child. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing some of the most important work in the world. And I'll see you next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific. Bye-bye.